Are your G-runs falling a little Lester flat? Tired of this happening to you? Try new GRun Spice for only 5 payments of $190. Hey folks, so today we're obviously talking about the Lester Flat G-Run. But before we get into that, I do want to mention real quick that I do have a new podcast out with my friend Lyman from Jazz and Grass. You can check that out on our Jazz and Grass podcast YouTube channel. We just put out our first episode, and it's all about our beginnings as musicians and how we met. So if you're interested in any of that, please go check out the podcast. I would really appreciate it. Anyway, G-Runs. So just to avoid some hate from the Bluegrass upper echelon, I'm going to start with a disclaimer here. There's a lot of different ways to play this lick. Now, some people think only the most traditional way should be referred to as the G-Run. Others think that you can take this lick and twist it up in any way possible, and as long as it still functions as a phrase ender, it's earned the coveted title of Bluegrass G-Run. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to consider all of these ending phrases variations of the classic G-Run. In no way am I saying that Lester Flat played the lick this way. This is just what the lick has evolved into. Alright, here's your classic steak and potatoes kind of G-Run. You've probably heard it a million times. It sounds like this. But it does have a couple common variations that are worth noting. The first variation omits the second to last note. That sounds like this. As far as the history of which one of these two versions of this lick came first, I am unsure. I think I learned them in this order, but honestly I can't remember. These licks do of course come from first generation bluegrass musician Lester Flat of Bluegrass Boy and Flat and Scruggs fame. If you'd like to hear this lick in action, you can hear it multiple times in the break for Foggy Mountain Special, or just in any other song he played out of the G shape. Something you might have noticed about the previous two examples is that sometimes they can feel a little bit off over certain songs. That's because if you're playing a song that's a little bluesy or modal or mountainy, some people say, you might want to try this variation of the lick. Only one note is changed, but that note carries a lot of weight. Changing that one note establishes that the song is now going to lean more towards the blues or that minor pentatonic sound. This is the kind of G-Run you would use over a tune like Clinch Mountain Backstep. In my opinion, this is probably the second most common version of the G-Run. It's stripped the run down to just 2 notes. So is it still a G-Run? I don't know. We're kind of in nebulous territory now. But this is what it sounds like. So when would you use this one over the other two options? I use this one a lot more when I need to stay out of the way. If you're playing a fast and busy bluegrass song with an entire bluegrass band, sometimes you don't need that entire G-Run. In fact, just the 2 notes will serve you better sometimes. It's a good way to show that you're an active listener and that you're the kind of musician that diagnoses a situation and finds a solution that's better for the entire band. Speaking of being an active listener, if you're playing a bluesy or modal tune, you might want to try this variation. This is the same backstory as last time, by the way. Changing that one note is what carries the weight to make that lick feel just so much more bluesy. This one is definitely a more modern bluegrass run. Now you can make a case for licks like this coming out of third generation players like Tony Rice, who love to syncopate their licks or throw things off the beat. But this lick has just really found a home in the modern scene. Virtually every player is familiar with it now. This lick definitely stands out in a crowd, so I like to use it more for punctuating the end of a guitar solo rather than the end of a vocal melody. I feel like at the end of a vocal melody, it might get in the way a little bit, but that's just me. Stretching out the G-Run is such a cool move. It's something that I ripped straight from the Tony Rice playbook. You can hear him do it in that popular All-Star Jam video that's been floating around for years. It sounds like this. Sometimes I use this lick to purposefully throw off the form with my friends. As a joke, you can start this G lick right where a normal G lick would go, but just stretch out the end of your solo as long as you want, assuming you're okay with being fired from the band that you're playing with. But for real, this lick can make a real funny stage joke, especially if you have another band member walk up behind you and kick you to get you unstuck and stop you from repeating the lick again. So this last lick is getting into territory that's arguably not a G run, but I thought it was worth mentioning anyway. Many players will take the G run and they'll reverse it so they can end their breaks on the low G instead of their open G string. This can be done in a bunch of different ways. I just picked this one because personally I like it and I use it. So it sounds like this. Once again, that's probably not the best way to end a vocal melody, but it does work well to end a guitar break. If you want more ideas on how to change up your G runs, I'd love to do another video on this topic. If you want that, please just let me know down in the comments below and I'll happily make another one. Alright, if you like taking a lesson from the biggest, baddest billy goat in the barnyard, there's a couple things you can do if you want to. You can scroll down, you can hit that subscribe button. Next to that's the bell icon. You can hit that if you want notifications. You can also give this video a like, or you can scroll down even further and you can leave a comment down there. Let me know if I did anything right or if I did anything wrong. After that, there's 3 big places you can find me. You can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter. On Instagram, I also run a daily lick channel called Jazz and Grass. That's a new lick every single weekday. And like I said in the beginning of the video, we do have a podcast coming out. That's the Jazz and Grass podcast. Now, I do have a website, lessonswithmarcel.com. Lots of free stuff on there. And that's also the place you got to go if you want to sign up for Skype lessons. So let me know if you want to do that because things are filling up fast. Anyway, I guess I'll see you next Wednesday.